Brawl Season 3 is here. We've got a couple of new units, mainly Dark Diane and Light Asaria, with us having a free imprint for Light Asaria. Let's go over the best heroes, best synergies, best relics, and I'll also show my challenge mode clear, which I got at rank 13. First things first, when you're doing this, you want to be doing like normal mode for the most part, at least until you hit, I would say, rank 13 or probably rank 15 to be safer. Probably going to take you like a couple of days worth of free runs, just because challenge mode is a bit of a stat check and you need some of the relics to get that far, just so you don't waste your time trying to do challenge mode. Let's take a look at the units. So we should actually also look at when you unlock some of these units, because it's kind of relevant. Your unlocks, you get Diane, or you get Maid at rank 2, which is just one run, one full normal clear run, which you can do at base, like just at base as long as you play properly. You'll get rank 6, so that's Maid and Diane. Then you get Asaria at 10, Witch the Mirror Tenebria at 15, and then Opsig at 20. So for the best units, Operator Secret is just absolutely insane. You do get her really, really late, which is why we have a separate tier down there for DPS, but she's just such a big, like, damage dealer. Aside from you getting her really late, she does have the buff condition, which is pretty easy to activate, though. Like, thing is, when you have other units that can buff her super, super fast, she's one of the fastest units for casting her S3, and this does a billion damage, and also the debuffs are really, really good. Unbuffable plus Death Break for 20 seconds. She's pretty much a free win once you get her. It does, like, she is very far in the pass, of course, but once you actually get here, if you hit her, she's going to make clearing so much easier. So if you get her, just grab her. Leica is second, just because she is one of the best buffers. The next three units in S tier are pretty much the buffer trio. Leica, AoE, greater attack buff, plus speed buff to all allies one tile around her is really, really strong. She has permanent uptime on this, and the cooldown on it is also really, really short, so she'll be able to spam this pretty frequently. She is like one of the reasons why Opsig gets her buff so much to go off, and just, greater attack buff and attack speed increase is insane damage boost. Tamarin's next. She provides mainly from her, where is she? Over here. On her skill, which you need A rank, but everybody like should have Tamarin. So you get her E for free, because anyway you own, you get a free memory imprint. After she attacks twice, also a really fast cast, she gives everybody 50% attack speed and 50% crit chance, and also gives everybody a barrier. The barrier does help, especially at early relic levels. And then next up is Maid Chloe. Maid Chloe, she does have like a base passive where she heals everybody, and this synergizes nicely with the Soul Weaver synergy. You put her in the front line because after she gets hit 5 times, she dispels all debuffs from all allies and gives them invincibility and attack speed, or greater attack buff and greater attack speed. So she also kind of supercharges everybody, and this invincibility is very, very useful for helping you tank through a lot of the damage and keep everybody alive. Getting hit 5 times is also pretty fast, because if you put her in the front, she'll just take a billion damage. One minor issue with her, though, is that if she is your lead hero for Miracle Maid Kingdom, you can't exactly put her all the way in the front unless you want to waste the buff, but she's still definitely worth picking up regardless. So this is pretty much the S tier. It's the OP buffer trio plus your OP DPS, but given that Operator Secret comes so late, I think that we need a separate tier here. If you haven't hit rank 20 yet, Westwind, Executioner, Shuri, and Robin, I personally prefer as my DPS. I think Rangers is just the best class overall in terms of DPS, and these two are the best DPS within that class. Rangers, they get hit a little bit, but they're still really, really strong. That's why Glenn is down here instead of up here this time. So Westwind, Executioner, Shuri, he is of course a Ranger. He also has Lost Technology, which is a pretty nice class. We actually have to talk about that separately because of its effect. His main thing is just, if he's buffed, he activates Annihilate instead of his basic Overpower, which inflicts decreased defense for 5 seconds. So besides just his personal damage, he also like helps a lot with ripping through units because of his Death Break. For Lost Technology, there's a lot of units that work with this, I think LRK is the most notable one because it's also a really good unit. But when attacking, he gives Forgotten Gear to one hero with the highest attack, which is generally going to be Shuri. And he also either does AoE he does AoE damage, which is, I'm not sure exactly which one gets picked. I'm going to assume it's RNG, though it might be on like based on class, but he inflicts damage on everybody, and then, or he inflicts freeze at everybody. Either way, it gives him like nice little AoE effects, where you're not going to hit 4, so 2 is the relevant one, and also Operator Secret. Later, you can just do Opsig Shuri, and that will proc the effect as well. Next up, we have Robin, and then Robin, you don't really care about her, she has like the, where is it? A resolve inherited. You don't really care about this. The main thing is just that she's Ranger, and her base effect is she AoE burns everybody around who she attacks. And this is why her damage is so high, just because she already attacks super fast from the Ranger trait. With the AoE burns, she's going to be topping the damage charts pretty consistently. And then everybody else in A tier, which really, like, once you have Opsig, these two also fall down into here. These are all just good units that you can fill out your roster with. LRK, great tank, also has the effect where after he gets hit 5 times, he activates his S3. It only works once per fight, but it's an AoE attack and gives barrier and immunity to all allies. The damage is decently high. It's not going to like one-shot anything, or it's not going to put him like instantly at the top of the damage charts rather, but it's going to do a pretty good amount of damage, especially given how many units are on the field at the later parts of the fights. And also the barrier plus immunity is nice just for defense. He's also just generally bulky enough that you can like put him solo on a side and have him soak up all of the damage. And also this, when attacked, if the caster's health is less than half, he gives skill nullifier to all allies 3 times and increased attack speed. So honestly, we have enough attack speed at this point. It's kind of overlapping, but the skill nullifier helps a ton with just tanking up damage for your whole team. Shepherd of the Dark Diane, she is honestly a really interesting frontliner. Very lore accurate abilities. Passive is that if she's below half HP, she fully heals, and this continues until Dark Spirit Lord Noyas dies, which is just a little dog, is her representation here, and she also, through Dark Contract, summons Noyas at the start of the fight. Her S3 is that when the dog actually dies, she'll attack everybody and also fully heal her HP before giving herself increased attack speed as well. And this one actually comes at memory imprint level B, so you can get this a lot faster. Just another like great frontliner if you manage to pick her up. And then, oh yeah, the imprint thing, ML5s get it at memory imprint level B, as you can see, and then RGBs, oops, Renock doesn't have one, neither does he, who has one? They get them at level A, because RGBs are a little bit easier to get. Next up, Monarch of the Sword Assyria. So she's the other new unit here. Her passive is that when she attacks, she inflicts Fracture. So Fracture decreases their attack and their attack speed. This is actually not like super insane, just because we don't have any like big raid boss fights in this brawl. I think it would be really like insane if we did have that, because then you would kind of just greatly reduce their damage. But she's still a really strong frontliner, just because there are a couple of waves that do have some pretty strong enemies, and she pretty much just completely neuters them if she manages to match up against them. For S3, after she attacks 5 times, she'll attack everybody and also give attack buff to herself and also 2 fracture on all enemies. So she's pretty much just like a debuffer knight. She just spams her fracture and completely, like, she just reduces everybody's damage dealt by a ton. And then with her S3 being AoE, it'll hit everybody on the field too. Her passive, like, class is she gets a random, like, power for 10 seconds after she attacks, boosts her crit chance, or gives her 100% crit chance, boosts her attack and attack speed, or boosts her crit damage. So she does have pretty good damage as well on her own. Fighter Maya and Specimen says, I'm just going to mention together, these two are here mainly because of their class not cloud, whatever. They're here because of the artificial life thing. Because this is when the specimen's in danger, Ravi appears, attacking all enemies and inflicting stun for 5 seconds. The stun is kind of the significant part here because an AoE stun is really, really good. It gives you so much free time to deal damage to the enemies without taking any back. And in some fight, that honestly kind of saves you because you really need that time. It's also 1 extra body to soak up damage and deal damage as well. So for the two of them, Fighter Maya is honestly your best early tank. She gives an increased defense after attacking for 5 seconds, and then after being attacked, she inflicts additional fixed damage on her next turn. Defense buff is the important part, and also being a knight, she is naturally a bit tankier. It helps her so much with tanking, and early on you don't have any like super insane tanks until you kind of start hitting some of the people up here. Specimen Says was the other one, and I think he's kind of a little bit too inconsistent to actually care about his S3. You might as well pretend this doesn't exist. What he does is he just stuns with his S2, really. It's a little AoE attack and stuns for 5 seconds. Pretty good CC. Unfortunately, he is a thief, which makes him a bit squishier than he should be. All those other artificial life units, they're kind of ranged, and you really want your artificial life unit to be melee, which is why I mainly pick out Specimen Says and Fire Maya, because you want to summon Ravi soon, rather than late in the fight. Ruel, like, I mean, same thing that she does in RTA, she just heals everybody a ton. When her HP gets below 50%, she revives all dead allies to 50%, and then if they're not dead, she just gives everybody invincibility. You don't really necessarily want her in the front. Keep her a little bit in the back so that your units can, like, die, and then she'll revive them later on in the fight. You could also, like, put her in the front too, but because there's other units, like LRK or, like, Maid giving you so much defense early on, I generally prefer using her as, like, a last resort to bring everybody back. And if anybody really died that fast, they might still have their S3 up, which is why her revive is really, really nice. And then she also has, like, a full heal, or not a full heal, a full dispel, a full cleanse from herself and everybody around her, plus barrier, plus heal. So she's kind of a ton of healing. It's a little bit overkill, but especially combined with, like, one other frontliner, it's going to be a lot of defense and probably get you through the rounds. Wishmir Tenebria, she still, like, has her thing where this is a little bit... I think any effect that procs on killing an enemy is way too inconsistent, but this attacks all enemies and inflicts structure for 20 seconds. And then her other thing is that when attacking, inflicts structure on the enemy for 5 seconds and inflicts damage proportional to their max HP. So the rupture effect is really, really strong. Her personal class is at the start of battle, grants 1 random class energy to all allies, and this is just nice. It's just free stats for all of your units. She just kind of slots in pretty nicely, I think, and she's kind of on, like, the lower end of the A units, but I think that she's, like, she works fine on, like, your final team. We also have Laya. Laya's honestly kind of an odd one out. If I had to... There's honestly probably, like, an A- tier where these three go. Laya's a little bit awkward just because I don't think there's too much space for her. Her main thing is that she has Miracle Maid, but Maid and Tamarin both cover that already. If you didn't hit Maid, though, and you don't have Rima, or you don't want to use Rima, then Laya fulfills the second Miracle Maid synergy, or if you want to go for Miracle Maid, then you can use her, of course. Every third attack grants Ice Cream to the caster and all nearby allies, and it just makes it so that their next attack deals 1,000 additional damage, which is kind of a lot. Nice, solid, like, buff for your allies, but nothing super insane. Holiday Euphine is next for Holiday Euphine. She's a frontliner, mainly because after she gets attacked, her next skill is going to attack all enemies in a line in front of her, and also burn for 5 seconds, plus her S3 is after she uses her enhanced attack, which is just going to be this thing. She'll activate her S3, which cleanses all debuffs AoE attack and also speed buff to everybody. So pretty decent frontliner for just her piercing like burn effect. Does a pretty good amount of damage. And then we have mid-game filler. I'm not gonna like go over them super in-depth. Glenn used to be up here, now he's down here, and this is just because Ranger got hit a little bit. It does one, you can't go to 8 anymore, it only caps at 6, but it does a bit less fixed damage than before, or additional damage. The additional damage spam was why he was so strong last time, and there's a little bit less this time, but he's still like really good mid-game. I think if you hit him, you probably want to keep him for his Ranger synergy, and he's going to do a pretty decent amount of damage. Use Remo, similar thing. She has her Ranger synergy, plus she has her Miracle Maid synergy, and these are just really, really nice classes to have. I think she's just, yeah, she's really, really good filler until you get some of the other units. All of these units here, for the most part, are kind of just use them until you get the better ones. Says basic thief DPS, Mercedes, AoE DPS, also artificial life. I mentioned that artificial life, you probably want the melee, and that's just because if you have them ranged, sometimes they'll sit in the back and they won't take any damage, and you summon Robbie way too late in the fight. Carrot is honestly probably down here. Akades, frontliner, she heals herself and also invincibility to her plus everybody around her. A little bit hard to actually like position her sometimes, but she's pretty good. Auxiliary Lots is budget Leica, because he doesn't give greater attack buff, just normal attack buff. Also artificial life, so pretty decent like filler until you get her. Senya, just a frontline unit. Infinite Horizon Akades, also just a frontline unit, though she does have Forgotten Gear. Last piece Karin, basic thief DPS with Forgotten Gear. These are just like pretty much some DPSs. Carrot is kind of just here as like a basic frontliner. She actually probably goes down here, honestly. And then these are, again, just like basic like units for you to use. I'm trying to check actually if, okay, yeah, I don't think she's not actually here. You fight her at one point. So these are just basic units for you to toss in. Maybe they should be mid-game just because they're 5 stars, but you just kind of toss these in until you have anything better. That's the quick overview of the units. Let's talk about the relics too. For the relics, the main thing is rush your stat increases. Like normal mode, you can clear with no relics. For normal mode, you can clear with no relics. For what is this? Challenge mode, you definitely need the stats. Max this out. You need all of the stats you can get, especially to get through the early rounds. I think you also want to pick up a couple of class synergies. I picked up Mage for fun, but I think Knight is better. I would go Ranger plus Knight. And then also on Sky Relic, I picked up some of the basic econ ones. Besides that, your main thing is going to be, you could get like more stats for your units. I think could help a lot. There's also this one that gives you a couple of heroes upon losing a round. It's only once, and if you hit 1 life, you get a 5-star. These sound not great, but the thing is, the hardest part is really just getting units to push through the early game and make it to the point where you can start rolling 5 stars. These actually end up being a lot better than they sound. And then, besides that, we also have the shop. The shop is the same as before. Don't buy these tickets, they both suck, and the skins, just pick up whatever you want. We also, of course, in the Reputation, have the Light Assaria imprint, which you probably want to pick up, though I would expect people have a lot of Asarias at this point. So that's it for the basic guide stuff. And then now let's take a look at the challenge mode clear. Again, this is at rank 13, which you can see top left for a bit. I'm going to play this at 2x speed, just because the fights take way too long. Your start, especially at low ranks, is going to be pretty RNG. You just summon your units and hope that you get something usable. If you get 3 separate, you can level up on the second round and just get more units. This is why I mentioned that the ones for like giving you a unit when you lose help out a lot, because these first few rounds get really dicey. You can see, like, I literally am just dying because of lack of units and stats. But if you manage to slam like a 4 cost or a 3 cost in here, it's going to be enough to carry you through the game. We got very lucky with the Fire Maya hit, and with that alone, it gives us enough to tank up and get through the stage. So you can see, like, stats are important because just having one unit to properly tank a lot better helps out a ton. So we hit level 5, but we don't have anything to roll, so we just put in Carmine Rose. There is also the option of, like, getting the notes that increase your 3-star stats. That's honestly probably more important than the 5-star stats, if anything, just because you're, like, once you have 5 stars, you shouldn't be struggling that much. The 3-star parts are the harder parts. Again, we are dead here, and we wouldn't have an RGB 5-star if we had the thing unlocked. But once you're near dead, roll down, you have no choice. We put in a different unit, and this time we don't get one shot on the wave, and we are able to clear through it. And then once you feel like you've stabilized enough, you mainly want to be prioritizing your coins. Your coins are going to, like, the leveling is going to help you a lot more than anything else. The 5 stars are all just super, super strong, and you want to try and get them as fast as possible, in my opinion. Plus, more slots is just going to give you an extra body to put in. So we got Maya here. I mentioned that Rima works really well just for her synergy, and you can kind of see why here. We have Miracle Maid. Getting Laya was lucky, though, of course. We don't have any real frontliners, so I just put it on Fighter Maya for now. Could have also put it on Karin, I think, and been okay. There's not too much to say about these stages, because we're mainly focusing on leveling up. Though every time I level up, I also do, like, roll down all of my gold, just to, just because you want to try and, like, make sure you... If you put all of your gold into only leveling up, you're not going to be able to, like, stay strong enough. And we got lucky with our rolls there. Specimen says, insane hit, because he gives us our, I forgot the name, Artificial Doll, I think, synergy, so we can summon Ravi, and you can see, like, Ravi is, or what he showed up last round, did a ton, and says with his AoE stun is great too. We also put him in the Miracle Maid slot. Plus, Westman Executioner Shuri gives us more DPS in our back slots. But here we can level up again. We have a case. And you can see the value of the Ravi. She just kind of does. She gives you so much extra time once you manage to summon her. So we are one level away from max level, and I feel strong enough to go for it. You also have the option of just, like, not for a bit and rolling, especially because, I mean, hitting Leica there is pretty much perfect. I do put Rima back in just for the Miracle Maid synergy. That's another Ravi save, because Robin kind of rips through your entire team, but the stun gave us enough time to kill her. And since I just got through one of the, like, kind of boss rounds, I was like, the next round should generally be pretty easy. So now we have Robin. And this, I actually mispositioned here. For this round, you want all of your units at the very top, and then, because that way they don't just instantly die to Bellion, but Ravi plus our Karin managed to clutch it out. That's really bad mispositioning there. That's one of the only rounds you really need to reposition for, I think. That Robin round, technically, you could put a unit at the top and try to stall out that way. At this point, once you're max level, it's just roll everything. You're seeing what you want to do for your final team. You can look at your, like, DPS charts on the left, and if you don't like what you're seeing, then, like, start getting rid of your units. You're just rolling at this point and seeing what you can hit, and then whatever 5 stars you get that you like, just toss them in. I also figured that Robin plus Shuri would be enough DPS, so I just took everybody else out, or the other 2 Rangers out, and opted for more defensive instead. Or, yeah, like, Maid plus Ruel plus LRK is going to be fine for defense, plus we have our Artificial Doll summoning Ravi. And also Tamarin. I kept those 5 stars around just because I wasn't sure what I wanted my final team to be, but I'm pretty sure I don't end up using them in the end. And since we started getting some imprints, you can see everybody actually using their skills. And the insane amount of damage being dealt by Shuri plus Robin. I repositioned like this just to get more units hit with Leica's S2. And this is Ravi clutch again. You need that time so much to keep everybody alive. We had Ruel still as like the failsafe, but you take so much damage in that round. And I probably should have sold everybody and rolled down there because I had 1 HP, but I figured I was strong enough. This round is honestly easier than the previous one. And that's it for challenge mode. And then just showing my relics at the end so you can see what I was using, which I already went over, but